Guess who's back in the house? I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day. I just watched season 2, episode 3 of Pose. This episode was written by Our Lady J, and this episode is a masterpiece. We start off with Angel being interviewed by the modeling agency for The Face of 1990, and she is asked why she should be the face. And she says that she's different. She's unlike the other girls who are in the competition, and it is the top five. And she says all of her life she was told that she was worthless. So she wants to tell girls like her and anyone else who they've been told they are worthless that they can be something. And that is such a powerful message. I said this last week, but I do think that this is such an important show for transgender children who are out there in the world. They are seeing themselves projected on TV, and it is just so beautiful. And I feel like she is speaking to their hearts, to their souls, to let them know that they can actually be something. And so we transition to a ballroom scene, and the category is Femme Queen Runway. And Angel wins, and she's surrounded by her house, and she's really excited. And then we transition to Angel at home, and she gets a phone call that I believe, she hasn't progressed in the competition. And so she lashes out at Blanca, and she tells Blanca that Blanca's always trying to insert herself into their lives to make them think that they can be something when they really can't. So she has once again been crushed by the weight of the world. And so Poppy takes her out on a walk, and he tells her that, she shouldn't stop fighting to be a model, and that when he sees her, he sees a model. She's filled with emotion because he believes in her, and she kisses him unexpectedly. And so they're planning a date to go on. Fast forward, Elektra is at the Hellfire S&M club where she works. Her client Paul comes in. He tells her that he has this new gas mask that if you turn it a certain way, it releases poppers. And so he's doing poppers. He's also doing coke. She ties him up in a sling and puts on this gas mask. And so he tells her to come back in 20 minutes so he can kind of like be prepared to be spanked. She comes back. He has had a bad reaction and has choked on his own vomit and died. She panics and she goes to see Blanca. Blanca tells her that she needs to call the police. She regrets going to see Blanca and tells her that she's going to see Candy. Candy is at her job at the strip club, and she tells Elektra that she's crazy if she wants to go to the police. But before they do go to the police, that they should go see Euphoria, who is one of their friends who's at her job, and she is a prostitute. She's a sex worker. And so Euphoria tells them all at Blanca's apartment about a horrible situation that she had with the John. It went horribly wrong because I assume he had erectile dysfunction, and he started to attack her. The police arrive, and he tells them a fabricated story. They arrest her, and she's trans. They put her with the male population, and Her wig is taken, her makeup is taken. So an officer tells her that he'll supply her with the wig and makeup only to force her into sex work. And she tells Elektra that she doesn't want that to happen to her and that she should not go to the police. So Candy tells her about a woman that can help them. Candy and Elektra go to see Miss Orlando. Miss Orlando from last season is the woman that gave Candy the botched butt surgery. And so Miss Orlando goes to the Hellfire Club with Candy and Elektra. They remove the body and then they take the body to Elektra's apartment. And the next day, they proceed to basically do everything that they can to decompose of the body. And they actually complete that process, which will start to mummify the body. And the body will be mummified in a trunk and placed in Elektra's closet. When this was happening, this reminded me of Dorian Quarry, who was the drag queen in the documentary Paris is Burning. Dorian died in 1993, and a friend of hers started to sell her clothing, and there was this huge suitcase that she was taking out of the closet, and when she opened it, there was this kind of like foul odor. And so the friend called the police immediately, and they found a decomposing body. So the body had been in that particular suitcase for about 15 years, and eventually they identified the body, and Dorian had never mentioned this person while she was still alive, but people started to piece together what had happened, and so they believed that Dorian and this gentleman were probably lovers at one point, and Dorian killed him. And there was actually a play written about this called Dorian's Closet. And I love that Our Lady J inserted actual ballroom history into this story. And so one thing that I forgot to mention is that while Euphoria is talking to Candy and Elektra, she says that for girls like us, the system is not on our side. And initially, when Elektra was starting to panic and didn't know what to do, I was questioning what would it be like to be transgender, of color, in the sex work industry. How would the police react to you? And during the early 1990s, trans rights and the mainstream's perception of trans people has changed since the 90s. But I'm always reminded, I once watched a video on YouTube about this black trans woman who lived in Atlanta, who was very passable. One day she was on the train and this guy was harassing her, and she kept telling him to kind of like just leave her alone, and something happened and he figured out that she was trans. I don't know how he figured it out. And he attacked her. She contacted the police, and the police did not believe her because she was trans. And so this story with Elektra and kind of like just the experience of like a trans woman who is of color and a sex worker. This has happened to countless trans women, not necessarily killing someone, but being in a situation where you have to call the police, but for safety reasons, you decide not to. So I really loved this storyline. So fast forward, Angel is stressing out about what to wear on her date with Poppy. He has booked a table at a very exclusive restaurant. During this time, she gets a call from Miss Ford from the modeling agency. She goes to the agency and she has booked her Angel a photo shoot with Wet n Wild for their new spring makeup collection. And so Angel is at the photo shoot. She's having a really good time. And I think they went through kind of like 4 different looks. And she actually looked gorgeous during the photo shoot. And she realizes that she's going to miss her dinner date with Poppy. And so she tells the photographer, oh, I have to go. I have a dinner date. And he says, do you want to be a socialite or do you want to be a superstar? And it hits her that, you know, this is what she wants to do. She wants to be a model. A model needs to be in front of a camera in order to be a model. So she misses her date with Poppy. Fast forward, she is talking about, I guess, like after the photo shoot, the photographer takes all of the models to this club and she meets Isaac, Mizrahi. Lil Poppy comes in and Blanca and Damon excuse themselves. And so he's talking to her and he gets so emotional and tells her that you don't have to apologize for wanting to pursue your modeling career, and that he is so happy for her, and that he wants her to realize that he is also a prize in the same way that her modeling career is a prize. I started tearing up when this happened. I've never really been into romances, movies that are of the romantic genre. But this like really hit me hard. It was so well acted. I hope that Pose gets an Emmy nomination. The acting is really good this season. Fast forward, Blanca and Electra are talking about Paul, her client that has died, and Electra tells her that she has been having nightmares about what she had to do in order to not go to jail because the police would have thought that she killed him on purpose. And she says a great line. She says that he is mine now forever. He will be with me for the rest of my life. And that really hit me hard. Like, you know, it's not his body that, of course his body will live with her forever, but it's his spirit and his memory that will live with her forever. Which was such like a powerful moment. And then they end the episode with this beautiful quote. Everybody wants to make an impression, some mark on the world. then you think you've made a mark on the world if you just get through it and a few people remember your name, then you've left a mark. And this is a quote by Dorian Quarry. I'm not sure if it was actually in Paris is Burning, but I just love how they have been um, ending these episodes with quotes from people from the ballroom community. Last week it was from Hector Extravaganza. It's like putting on a little bow, and those are my favorite types of stories where you start with like this nugget, this image early on, and you end with that same image. And so I think that this episode was great. I would love to hear what you guys think about the episode. If you think that Elektra should have went to the police, if you think that Angel should have left the photo shoot to go have dinner with Puppy. And I am so excited for next week's episode. Until then, live and be beautiful. Besos.